Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code DRASIN12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. Doug Brinole's back, and we have other subjects to talk about because he always seems to bring something to the table, the shaky table, that is really informative and educating and interesting. So I'm really happy to have Doug here. Thank you, Doug.
My pleasure. It's an honor to be here.
And he's got a subject called how do you shape, or can you change the shape of a muscle? And can you?
No.
So thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
No, listen, I have to tell you, we have been fed a lot of nonsense over the years by marketers, and I don't want to annoy anyone or upset anyone, but some people know better and some people don't. Some people just have heard this, they believe it, then they preach it as if they know it to be fact. Mm-hmm. You cannot change the shape of a muscle. You cannot make a bicep longer. You cannot work the inner pecs versus the outer pecs. You cannot work your quadricep closer to the knee. Especially when you think about the muscles that bend a joint that is a hinge, like an elbow or a knee.
Right.
All right. So
we talked about the hinges.
If you've got, did we?
Yeah, we did the thing with a board.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
This is a little bit different. When you're talking about an elbow, and it only does one thing, and you've got an inner bicep and an outer bicep. Well, the only way you could work the inner bicep and not the outer bicep, or inner more than the outer, is if this elbow could bend to the side.
True, that's true.
But it can't. I mean, any time the elbow bends, both heads work. Right? So the idea that you're going to do multiple exercises to, quote, hit all parts of the muscle, that's nonsense. You can't hit all parts of the muscle. You work the muscle, and that's all you can do. Now, when you're talking about, let's say, pecs, now you've got fibers that run in different directions. It's a little different, okay? But there's only two variables. This is what's so interesting about resistance training. There's only two variables, and that is the direction of the resistance and the direction of the movement. Those are the only two things you can vary, right? So if I'm going to go like this, let's say I'm doing a flat dumbbell press. I am moving toward the origin of the fibers that are right across from the arm, right?
Okay.
So for me to go downward, I'm hitting different fibers. Right, so the pectoral muscle is one of only two muscles that's fan-shaped. The trapezius is the other one. Right, but it helps illustrate the point. So if you change the direction of the movement, you're hitting a different part of the fiber. That's a little different. You can't do that with quads, hamstrings, deltoids. These are all single movement muscles.
Right.
So if you change the movement, you're basically changing the muscle. Right? So in other words, what I'm getting at is that, let's just take the chest because it's easiest to explain. If I move toward this, right, then I'm working that muscle as well as that muscle can be worked because I'm doing what it does, right? If I start going at an upper angle, and there is no pecs above the shoulder line.
Right, you're going to the deltoid then.
Now I'm doing deltoid. So now what I was doing was hitting a different part of the muscle, when in reality I've just taken away the benefit of the chest. I've reduced it. I've made it worse, not better. Then when it comes to the direction of the resistance, this determines what they call the resistance curve. So when you're doing a curl, for example, whenever this lever is perpendicular to gravity, or resistance, whatever it is, it's the cable or whatever, it's going to work harder than when it's parallel, right? Okay. So what you want to try to do is get that resistance curve to give you a little bit more at the beginning and a little less at the end. Okay?
Yeah.
The idea that you would try to switch that around so we have a little bit less at the beginning and more at the end is less good. It doesn't give his whole confusion principle.
What was the purpose of the Nautilus and the camber that made it the muscle work a certain way when you used it?
Well, the idea of Nautilus was that, and Arthur Jones was not entirely right about this, but it was a good marketing ploy, and that was muscles have a strength curve, a part in their range of motion where they're strongest and where they're weakest. And so he thought, I'm going to create a cam that's going to match the strength curve of the muscle.
I see.
And so that the machine will offer that muscle more resistance where it's stronger and less resistance where it's weaker. And the idea is good, but you don't need a cam to do that. You can do it in other ways. You can do it just with regular levers and pulleys and all that. But the point is that he didn't get it just right. Some of the cams don't offer you enough less resistance. So, but the point is that, and this is going to sound radical now, because if you start and say, well, you can't change the shape of a muscle, and you can only change two variables, and that is the direction of the resistance. Either it's right or it's wrong, or the resistance curve. Either it's right or it's wrong. Either it's good or it's bad. Either it's giving you the most at the beginning and less at the or not. then why do multiple exercises per workout?
Well, for example, let's break this down so they understand it. So let's just say we're going to do arms. We're going to do bicep. We're going to do 3 sets of barbell curls.
Okay.
Then we're going to do 3 sets of dumbbells or dumbbell alternates. And then we're going to do 3 sets of concentration curls.
Right.
You're
Now
still working the muscle the same way all the way through?
That's the traditional thing.
It is traditional.
Okay, and it's so ingrained that most of us don't even question it.
Right.
Okay, but the bicep doesn't know the difference.
No.
It did the same thing throughout the whole time. So when I work out, what I try to do is I cover the high reps and the low reps.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to compare this to sex.
I do high reps in sex.
I knew you would. I would light you up. Okay, so when you start off with foreplay,
Yeah.
right? You got to have the foreplay. You got to have the high reps. You got to warm it up.
Do you need 4 people?
Yeah.
Not 2 people.
Well, you don't have to, but I suppose you could.
Okay.
Here's the thing: is there's a sarcoplasmic part of the muscle and there's a myofibril part of the muscle, and the sarcoplasm grows better on the high reps, and the myofibril grows better on the low reps. So you need them both.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to do one exercise, it's better to really start high reps, low weight, and move toward the really low reps, really heavy. Okay?
Right.
So let's just say I'm going to do 8 sets. And I'm going to go 50, 40, 30, 20, 15, 10, 8, 6, something like that, right? Where in that continuum do you want to interrupt that to go change an exercise?
Yeah, I see.
It doesn't make any sense. You're already on a perfect path. You're moving toward the heaviest weight. You might say, well, just do the high rep and the middle weight, and but then you what? Then you start over again somewhere else?
No, I never thought of it.
It's almost like you're just about to orgasm, and then you're going to go do foreplay again.
Yeah.
No, you're on a path.
Yeah, no, I get it.
You're on a continuum. You just follow that line. Next time, if you want to do a different exercise, do a different exercise. But one exercise from 50 reps all the way to 6 or 4 reps.
And then you're doing abundance of sets.
I do between 8 and 10 sets for that one exercise, and that's it.
And that should be all for that.
Yeah, and then you've done the range. You've done the high reps. You've done the low reps. You've done the light. You've done the heavy. And to break that sequence up and then go change exercises, unless the exercise you're changing to is so similar, and you're just going to pick up where you left off here. Let's say you stopped in the middle range. You pick up here, and okay, you can do that. But you want to do that continuum. You want to start light. You want to go all the way to the heaviest you can,
Yes.
and then stop. You're done. The idea that you would then go change and start that continuum again doesn't make any sense.
No, I never thought of it that way in all these years.
Yeah.
But I like it.
Boy, I'll tell you, and there's some science now, believe it or not, that supports why heavy weight, low reps works better having done the high reps, low weight first. It actually now is scientifically proven the muscle grows better than if you hadn't done the high reps in the beginning.
Well, let me go back a couple of pages to when I was really training hard and doing benches. Let's just use the bench press, for example. I'd get up and warm up at 135.
Yeah.
I'd do 15 reps, maybe 20 reps.
Yeah.
I couldn't do more than that at that time. And then I'd go and I'd do a next set of maybe 12 reps, and the next set of 8, or 10, next set of 8, and then 6, 4, 2, and a single heavy at 450 or 430 or whatever. Then come back and do a pump set. That was it.
Yeah. And I like doing a pump set at the end.
Yeah,
that does,
I got a lot out of that.
But, and I would go so far as to say that there's not, over all the study that we've seen, and even the empirical stuff that we've seen, there's not much growth that seems to be gotten from single rep or 2 or 3 reps. It seems like 4 is about the lowest. Now, you might like to do it just to see how...
Well, I did it to build up my strength. And so
Yeah.
then one day I came in the gym, and I have it documented. People saw it. I put 325 on the bar. It was 315 on the bar, 3 big plates each side, and I knocked out 21 reps with it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of reps with
Yeah.
that weight.
Yeah.
But my strength had increased so much I was able to do it.
Yeah.
The thing is with the benches, so you do the benches and you do the 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1 single, and then back to a pump. Then you go to inclines.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. I do 4 sets of maybe 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And then you do flies, another 4 sets, 8 to 10.
By the way, I'm sorry for interrupting, but do you know, next time you're in the gym and you see people doing inclines, and you know how we tend to check the pump after a set? So they're doing inclines, and then how do they check the pump?
Yeah.
Low.
Yeah.
They don't check the pump high.
No.
Right?
But my incline's not an incline. I have an incline so low.
It's a very
low incline. But and talking about a pec, for example, shaping the muscle or doing the muscle, bench presses were my strength. I don't believe that they really worked my chest like a dumbbell or a fly would.
Right.
So I needed that in order to come here and get the whole range. Benches is just
so one is kind of a strength builder, and one is a muscle builder.
Right. Now, what I've been listening to you lately, and I go into the gym and I go on maybe a preacher curl bench. There's a machine I like to put the cambered bar through the handles, and I'll do 25, 30 reps first set, very light, until my biceps are burning.
Yeah.
And boy, they pump.
Yeah.
So I do that set, then I do a set of maybe 20, and then a set of 15, and a set of 12, and that's pretty spent since then.
Yeah, now we're on the subject of bench press. You know, when we're doing it with the elbows wide, you know, sometimes they tell you to bring your elbows low.
Yes.
Okay, and some people actually tell you to pretend like you're bending the bar.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Because ultimately what you want to do is travel toward the muscle fibers of the muscle you want to hit, right? So if you want to hit these, you want to travel parallel to those fibers.
Right.
You want your elbow high, right? As soon as you start to do this, you're not traveling
at all
parallel. So now you're entering the front delt range.
Yes,
right?
you're coming up.
This is actually a very good front deltoid exercise.
Right.
With a barbell reverse grip, that's actually a very good front deltoid.
Yeah,
it is not a pec exercise.
No.
So that gets back to what I was saying about changing the movement. Well, now you're changing the muscle.
Yeah.
You're not hitting the same muscle anymore once you change the movement.
No, you're right. Somebody had mentioned there's a picture of me benching. Arnold was spotting me on the bench, and this is the original Gold's Gym. And the bench back there, at the time, you had your bench and you had your stands for your weights.
Right.
But the stands for your weights were right here by your shoulders, just parallel to your shoulders. Now today, all the stands are way out.
Right.
And the reason they moved them out, for all of you that don't know, is because the bar would tip.
Yeah, right.
You'd load up one side.
Yeah, but it's like this.
Yeah, and everybody was dropping weights on the floor, so they widened the stands out. However, having the stands close, if you ever find a bench that has that, gives you a lot more support, a lot more strength in your bench press because you're pushing your shoulders against the stand.
Oh, okay.
You're not pushing yourself off the bench. You have something that it adds a resistance to a degree that gives you more strength.
The only thing is you have to coordinate, and both plates have to go on or off at the same time.
You need two guys. You need two guys.
If you load up one side and not the other, it tips over.
But it does make a difference in your bench press because you have that support on your shoulders. But you won't find many of those. I don't think you'll even find them around today.
Right.
But it worked. It was so much better.
Right.
So much better.
Yeah, but it is interesting how people do switch around exercises. And we still see these magazines saying, do this for the outer bicep. And guys will say it. I mean, and they believe it. It's not that they're lying. They believe it because they were told that. But how do you know?
You don't know.
I mean, all you know is you've got a good outer bicep. But you don't know what caused it.
No. One more thing on the bench thing, because this is interesting. The bar makes a difference. Now, back in those days...
You mean the thickness of the bar?
The Olympic bars, back then, they were a little bit thinner. So when you brought it down, you did your 2-second pause, you had a slight spring. Boom, 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 shot up.
Yeah.
Now, the bars, there's other bars that are about a little bit thicker, and they don't have a spring.
Right.
And they come down, they're just dead, and then you got to push them up.
They're dead. That's a good way to put it.
It makes a huge difference in your lift.
Yeah.
For you guys that don't know this.
That's right.
I see guys in the gym, and they'll go to get the thick bar. Why are you getting that one? There's a thin one there. You get a much better lift.
Oh, I used to love the thin bars.
And they go, well, why? I said, I just showed you.
Yeah, right.
And so sometimes I'll use it, sometimes I won't.
You know, when I was over at Bill Pearl's gym years ago, all the bars were a little bit thinner back then.
Yes, they were.
So they would bend, and they would stay bent.
Yeah,
You know, if a guy was doing, like, let's say, 100-pound barbell curls, and he drops it on the bench, boom, it stays bent.
Right.
Right. So, but eventually, you know, you learn how to work with those bends.
You work with it.
Right. So you take it in just the right angle when you're doing your wrist curls. It's like, then when you don't have that little bend, you miss it.
Exactly.
So I sort of miss the days. You never find any bent
sometimes
bar.
you take it to the bench, and it would rotate on you.
Right.
It was bent too much.
Yeah.
And then when squatting heavy, too, would bend it.
Yeah, right.
But those were good bars. I mean, today's bars are good, too. They're just a little bit thicker. They have bigger knurls on them.
Yeah.
A little bit rougher on around it.
Yeah.
But,
well, I confess, as a bodybuilder and not a power lifter, the only thing I use a barbell for anymore these days is wrist curls, barbell wrist curls and rivers.
Yeah, sure.
I use dumbbells for biceps. I use dumbbell for triceps. I use dumbbells for chest, cables.
Well, while we're on the subject of that for you guys too, because this is interesting. I'll go in the gym and I'll take, say, the 45-pound Olympic bar.
Right.
I'll put 5s on it.
Right.
And you know, I mean, I see guys do it with 135 pounds.
Right.
I don't know how in the hell they do it. I can't. But I don't feel it. I feel it more in my wrist. It's hurting my wrist, pulling me out to do the curl.
Yeah.
Rather than the little easy curl bar, which is easier.
Right.
So I don't get a lot out of it. I get much more out of dumbbells. Because you can rotate your hands, you can twist, turn it up.
Absolutely. There's much more freedom of movement, not nearly as restrictive.
Right.
Yeah. Plus, you know, a lot of things, like, for example, when you're doing chest, what you really do is you're pivoting on this joint, so you're creating a circular movement, an arc. Right. When you're benching, you're doing a linear movement.
Yes.
Right. So what you want to do is you want to create the same roundness of movement that the joint creates.
I got much more pec development out of doing dumbbells than I did.
Of course,
dumbbells.
it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this makes a lot of sense. So basically, you can go to the gym. You can take one exercise, 8 to 10 sets, and work. Start with all the reps and work down to single, and go back to a pump.
Right. But I do want to say one last thing, and that is, you know, this muscle confusion thing. This idea that you need to keep switching it up.
Yeah.
Now, that's actually not true, because not every exercise is good, right? If they were all interchangeable and they were all equally good, fine. But some of them rate, let's say, a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
And some rate a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. Like the tricep kickback is a terrible tricep exercise. It is heaviest where you're weakest.
Yes.
It is lightest when you're strongest, and it misses the whole first part of the range of motion.
Yeah.
It is probably the worst tricep exercise.
What if you do it with cables?
Well, then you're just doing a push down.
Okay.
Right, if you're doing this, you might as well doing a push. That's the same. Your tricep doesn't know whether you're standing or bent over.
You make it sound so simple.
Right? It doesn't know, right? If you're doing this and you lower the pulley, it's the same thing as a push down.
You're totally right.
Right.
You're totally right.
Okay,
I'm not bending over anymore in the gym. That's it.
Yeah.
Except at the water fountain.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I explained it to this the other day to somebody, and I said, imagine that you've got a pair of dice, right? And you throw your dice, and you get a 2 over there and a 3 over there. You've got 5, right? So you go, I can do better than that. So you throw the dice again, right? And you keep throwing the dice. Sometimes you get higher, sometimes you get lower. When you do muscle confusion, that's what happens. You do sometimes a good exercise, sometimes a bad exercise.
Right.
And it averages out to like maybe a 5 or a 6, whatever, right? But if you knew how to throw a double 6 every time, you would throw a double 6 every time.
Absolutely.
And you'd get a better result. In other words, if you knew which exercise was the best exercise, mechanically speaking, and you use that one and only that one all the time, you get a better result than if you switched it up. Sometimes a good one, sometimes a bad one. I mean, it's only good when you go from a mediocre exercise to a great one. It's not good when you go from a great one to a mediocre one.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow that.
Attaboy.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And you guys take note of this and use it in your workout and try it because you'll probably make some really good gains. But it's worth a try changing it up.
Hey, are you taking any good
It's at rickdrasinoriginals.com. I have the original Gold's Gym shirt, my signature. I have Muscle Beach. I have the Golden Era Bodybuilding. I have many shirts and my old original tank top that I did back in the 80s with the little narrow back.
Oh, right.
Those are out.
Razorback.
And I also have scrunchies for girls back there. So rickdrasinoriginals.com. I have a distributor here in the U.S. They ship within 24 hours, and they got a variety of colors, and the prices are fair. Go on there and buy yourself a shirt.
Sounds
it's
great.
Signed by me.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm going to have more to come, too.
That's worth the price of gold.
Yeah, it is gold.
All right.
This is Gold's Gym.
Gold's Gym, yeah. Price of gold.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doug.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And,
All right.
it's always a pleasure, and I'm glad that we did this segment. And you guys stay tuned.
See you next time.
We'll be here next time.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com.
Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin. Personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world. And I'm the guy that drew it. And I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interests as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.